Let's start with this. Name, sex, location. No, don't answer. No, actually do. What's your name? Where
Jeremy.
are you
I'm from Christchurch.
from? What company do you own?
Oh, Elrick Co, surveying and planning.
Beautiful. And how long have you been with Business Mastery for, Jeremy?
Just about 12 months. I think we started June, was it June last year or July? June or July, yeah, almost 12 months.
And what was life like then? How was business then?
Prior to Business Mastery,
Yeah.
it was really good. No, we were on probably Cruise Street a little bit. Market was a little bit down, although we were still relatively busy, but yeah, probably Cruise Street, I would call it.
What makes you say you're in Cruise Street?
Just for me personally, being the business owner and the one looking at the numbers, the only one looking at the numbers other than the accountant, not really anybody to hold you to account or nobody to explain things to, which is good in a certain way because there's no pressure on you. You don't have to worry. You just go for it. You just cruise. But it's not really a sustainable way to run a business because you need someone to be looking at it, looking over your shoulder. And I think as a sole owner, you can be left out to sea a wee bit. So.
And initially, when we first spoke, I lured you into a coffee meeting.
You did. Great sales technique.
It was a great site. I've done that again since. Maybe I should try that.
You should.
Initially, what was it that made you think, oh yeah, this could be worth a conversation?
I think for me, I've done business coaching stuff before. We've had business coaches before, and historically they've been, what sort of language you're using around the office, and how to motivate your staff, and how to, write better emails, and using words like curious, and stuff like that. Really sort of unhelpful. I think a business coach, like any coach, whether it's rugby or football or martial arts or whatever, you want your coach to be coaching you in the thing that you're doing, right? So, your rugby coach, you don't just want them to be helping you talk rugby talk. You want them to be helping you play better. So for me, when I looked at Business Mastery and what you were offering, it was a much more rounded experience. And I just wanted someone, to help me run the business. When you're a sole owner, you don't have that. You feel like it can be a lonely position. So to know that there was going to be a group of people who were there to not only hold your toes to the fire, but actually help you do stuff, help you work out problems, and that for me that really made the difference.
Nice. And how have you found the structure in terms of the one-on-ones and the boardroom?
Good. High intensity, so there's a lot of contact time. Again, with previous coaching I've done, you maybe like once a month, once every couple of months, and very sort of touchy-feely, whereas this is on a weekly basis, and I think that really, that's the kicker, because there's no sitting back and, taking a few notes and then worrying about it in a month's time. They're going to be on your tail next week. And you quickly learn that when you set a 6-week program where you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. And that for me that's key as well, because again, if you're in business as an owner by yourself, there's no one really to, you don't have a board of directors to hold your toes to the fire. So yeah, it's nice to have someone there looking over your shoulder. And again, not just holding your toes to the fire, but helping you with problems. So helping you sail the ship.
And how have you found the monthly board meetings?
Good. Pretty nerve-wracking at the beginning. To come into a space where there's 4 or 5 other business owners, and particularly the first one, and you're shoving your numbers up on the board and everyone's having a look, you're lifting the skirt. Pretty nerve-wracking, but you'd really quickly get over that. And it's interesting. You kind of, you get that imposter syndrome, you think, oh, what are we doing? Are we doing things right? What do other people's businesses look like? It's really rewarding and really useful to actually see other people's businesses. I get probably more out of that than I do out of putting my own numbers up there and listening to what people have got to say about it. It's more about seeing what the others are doing and seeing how they're thriving, and if they're making mistakes, what are they doing to fix it. That's, for me, that's the part that's given me real confidence, actually. It's given me confidence in my own business that we're, some things we're doing right and some things we aren't, and so, because you can't see that unless you're looking at other people's stuff. So, yeah, that's
awesome. And what have you found surprising or different to what you expected?
I think the level of contact has been the major one. Again, just having done some coaching stuff before where the level of contact is not the same. And I don't think I even realised when I signed up how much work it was going to be. You kind of go, oh yeah, it'll just, be a boardroom once a month and be this thing we go along to. But it's intense. It's like you've got this thing hanging over you all the time that's making you do stuff, which is great. It sounds bad, but it's great. It's it's how it should be. It's really, yeah.
Nice. And what have you found in terms of results since you've been doing the program? Obviously the market's been doing its thing, but what have you implemented and what's the impact?
Yeah, I think we've had some great results because of it. So, the first thing we did was you telling me that I needed to not be doing half the stuff I was doing and to hire an admin person to do it for me. Something I'd been thinking about for ages, but never really thought about in such a way that I would actually do it. And so, you made me, you sort of put some metrics around that and went, well, actually, this is what will happen if you do. And it did. So, there's a whole bunch of administrative stuff that I'm not doing anymore. That gives me more time to work on our current clients. And so our lead book has just gone through the roof. Again, a little bit market driven, but also driven by us. And we've had more time to actually do the work and get things done. Other things like our pricing analysis, pushing our pricing up. We've done a whole lot of work around financial systems. So put in place the SOPs for our financial policies. So for collecting money and invoicing and that sort of stuff, that's been a real game changer. Going from just sort of hoping that people are going to pay us to actually putting a methodology around how we're going to get them to pay us. So that's been awesome. Hiring staff, just giving confidence around doing that. I think actually one of the meetings with Gustav was a good one for the new technical staff hires because they're expensive people, But when we actually sat down and looked at the numbers and went through it and went, well, you actually need it. And here we are, a couple of months later, and we're actually drowning in work and can't wait for these people to start. So, would we have done that if we weren't doing business mastery? I don't know. It wouldn't have been as easy, put it that way.
Yeah. Just on that final note, what would you say to somebody who's on the fence about it, or they've heard about coaching before and they're like, I'm not sure if it's for me? What would you say to someone who's considering it but apprehensive?
I would always say give coaching a go. There's a lot of shiny shit around coaching though. So, and that's the experience I've had in the past. Like coaching shouldn't be about, getting a team together and someone standing on the table and you're catching them. That's lovely for your Christmas do, right? But that stuff will be forgotten. You'll spend the money on it and it'll be forgotten 6 weeks later. You need ongoing support, ongoing pressure to get stuff done, and that, for me, that's the real kicker. If you're going to invest in a coach, you need to invest in and I sound like I'm marketing for you, probably am. If you're going to invest in a coach, you want to invest in people who are going to work with you to get shit done, And for me, that's the important thing. You can go to any coach in town or read a book about, how to motivate yourself and how to motivate your team and da-da-da-da. You want people that are actually going to do functional projects with you to make a real tangible change in your business, not just make you feel better about yourself for a day.
Nice. Love that. No.
Boom.